what's happening, everybody? It's your man, Dame D, NYDC. It's Friday. Two Mics Up Business Corner, all new episode. And I'm excited today. I'm actually being joined by a guest on the other mic who's, we hear it a lot in business, whether it be our actual business or personal, when it comes to financial transactions with credit cards and different things like that. And sometimes, we just assume, and think we know, but today we have someone who I believe who actually knows. This is his wheelhouse. And we're going to discuss, you know, payment providers and services and really what he's doing and what he's bringing to the industry. So I'm really excited about that. And I just want to say quickly, I want to shout out to, Shakira Go Ramirez, who is our entrepreneurship lawyer. Wow, mouthful. But she's really been huge as an advertising partner, and she's bringing this episode of Two Mics Up to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to bring to the stage and joining me on the other mic, Mr. Anthony Bryant. Anthony, how are we doing today, my friend?
Doing great, man. I really appreciate you guys bringing me on board today to kind of talk a little bit about what I do and just shoot the breeze a little bit.
And that's what it's all about, man. In both shooting the breeze, but really educating, our audience. Because, like I said, sometimes we think we know, right? But this is your wheelhouse, and I'm excited because I want to learn a little bit more, not only about you, what you do, but hopefully you can help educate us on really what payment providers and what the service is, if you will. Okay. So before we jump into all of that, I have to start by asking, Anthony, who are you? Like, who's Anthony Bryant, the person? What is he like when he's not working? Your favorite hobby, something, man? Like, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So Anthony Bryant, I have a lot of hobbies. I guess I'm one of those guys who probably has more hobbies than time. Read, I write a bit, I play guitar, work out and all that good stuff. But honestly, at the end of the day, I've spent time in a lot of different industries. I've done construction, I've done landscaping, I've done all that good stuff. But after some years in the service industry, I found that what I really like to do, and I may be getting ahead of myself a bit, but honestly, I just kind of love to socialize. I love to network. I love to talk with people and kind of get to know what they do and, see what I can bring to the table, basically. So.
I love it. And you're really doing that because, like you said, you've networked and you socialized and you've really helped really advance your career through your networking, if you will. And that was the take that I got, from diving into who you are and just meeting you briefly and hearing what you say. But now standing here today, you are, the today's, CEO, if you will, of Sovereign Payments, which you founded. Now, what was that like, and how did that whole journey for you start to get to where you are right now as the CEO and founder of Sovereign Payments?
Well, if I'm being honest, it was kind of one of those happy accidents. I worked in the restaurant industry prior to this, and again, part of my fun was talking to people and getting to know them. And I just got tired of, frankly, getting out anywhere between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., depending on how busy we were. So, but I got into payment processing because I found an ad for a company that I really liked. I worked for them for a period of time,
Okay.
and I had this idea that while there are a lot of big companies out there these days, there aren't enough smaller, more hands-on companies who are servicing small businesses, really getting to know them, like I said. And, I joke all the time, I hate to use a cliche, but instead of doing a one-size-fits-all thing, I had this concept of what if we hit the Goldilocks spot? We don't want you to be too hot. We don't want you to be too cold. We want to actually know what you do so we can hit that perfect spot for you.
Now that right there is really where I wanted to go with the next part. That sweet spot in working with each business, if you will, because like you said, each business size, each business stage, if you will, where they are in their stage is different. So as a service provider, a payment service provider, like how do you go in, or what is, if you will, maybe walk us through what the process looks like when you're dealing with a new client, maybe someone who's on that, let's say, that infancy stage, and maybe one that's maybe a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Mhm.
So, kind of dialing back a bit, I guess, one thing that a lot of companies will teach you when you're just getting into sales and stuff for this kind of industry is it's just numbers. It's what can you
Mhm.
save a merchant? What does it cost? But what I like to do instead is, one of the things that sets us apart, I'd love to talk a little bit about, is we actually work with over 40 different point of sale options. Not one,
Wow.
not two, not three, which is pretty normal. So I walk into, whether it's a smoke shop, whether it's a local food mart, whether it's, we've even worked with some fast food chains like Burger King in the past,
Okay.
like franchises.
Mm-hmm.
But we walk in and we go, hey, what's going to benefit this business? Do you need X, Y, and Z on your delivery options? Do you need to
Mm-hmm.
be able to do tip splitting if you're a restaurant? So we really kind of dig into what makes you tick as an entrepreneur, as a restaurant. What do you feel like you need? What do you think you need? And I'm always happy to throw out my opinion. If I tell somebody like, look, man, like I understand that you think that this might be the best option, but I think this is. We're going to go with the business owner's opinion, obviously.
Right. Right.
But I kind of like to get a feel for what they want to do and how we might best be able to fit it.
Mm.
So it helps us, for smaller businesses, for instance, we have, just like Square and a lot of those guys, we have little free Square mobile readers. They don't cost you a thing up front. They're super easy for craft fairs, all the way up to, relatively pricey point of sale systems that'll do inventory management, employee management. They'll do your payroll for you, whatever you
Oh
want
wow.
to do. So
Okay.
it's really about knowing what you need.
And that I think that's the key. And I'm curious to know from you, from your experience and expertise as a business owner. And I'm just putting my hat on. You
Yeah.
really think you know what you need. You do. And from your experience, though, after really sitting down with someone and really dissecting, through the minutia, and like you say, your 1 cent sometimes that expertise does go a long way. Have you found that you've been? And again, it's not about getting someone to think differently, but getting them to see, hey, well, maybe this might be more beneficial long term. Because I think as business owners, we don't understand sometimes long term. We get kind of caught up in what we think we see right here.
I'm the same
Have you?
way. I get
But do you find that after kind of spending time and getting to know clients, um, do they kind of bend and kind of say, Anthony, I think you're right. This may be better for me long term. And have you had success? And I'm just curious to know, anybody else watching this might want to know what that success rate may be like, or what have you found in feedback, positive or negative, with the services and how you're managing and handling your clients.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm,
And again, one thing I pride myself on is we don't try to oversell our partners. I'm not,
okay.
if you're, doing like a mobile situation, I'm not going to sell you a $3,000 piece of equipment. But
Right.
a lot of times, for instance, I love to take the example of like food trucks and mobile vendors. A
Hmm.
lot of those guys right now are just using those little mobile readers, and they're cool, they're great, they're awesome. But if they've got the extra little bit of capital to get into it, a lot of times I'll work with them to get them a full-on point of sale system, because what it does is it'll give you like, hey, your cost of goods sold. It'll allow you to do a little bit more advertising.
Mm,
It'll allow you to do a little bit more of your employee. Like, if you're not
hmm.
the only person running it, it kind of lets you know where your money's going.
Yeah, and that's important. That is
Yeah.
really important. I mean, that's huge as a business owner. You know, all of that information is really great to know, because I mean, you help really explain what I hope our audience is really, here to learn about. One, just the background piece, and the knowledge of what you provide, and what they can find in dealing with you. But now I just want to go back a little, just one step further back, if you can, because as a business owner yourself, I'm sure you had to have, and I think it's important for all businesses to have a mission and vision statement. And I'm curious for you, when you first started, right? I see you nodding your head. Like, what was, and this changes as you grow in your business, usually. But when you first started Sovereign Payments, what was your mission and vision, for the business when you started?
So I had two big missions. So
Okay.
number one is, in the grand scheme of things, payment processing hasn't been around terribly long, because credit cards haven't been around all that long.
Right.
But, a lot of companies are operating today the same way they did 30, 40 years ago.
Hmm.
I wanted to kind of take this and, for lack of a better term, we're trying not to be your father's payment processing company. We don't do one size fits all. We're not going to sit here and spam call you. We're not going to, we're trying to do things in a little bit more of a networking oriented kind of educational way.
Mm-hmm.
The other big thing we wanted to do is, there are a lot of industries, a lot of merchants, a lot of business owners who are underserved in what we do, because they're, quote, high risk. So
Hmm.
what that means, it could be any number of things. If you're a certain industry like CBD, firearms, especially
Okay.
once you get into online sales.
Okay.
Um, but what a lot of people don't know is it can also have to do with your personal background. Like I've worked with an individual recently who had, unfortunately, she had two bankruptcies in her past, and she couldn't get
Mm.
authorized to save her life because they were looking at that previous financial history,
Okay.
and nobody wanted to touch it. So what
Right.
we want to do is we want to give everybody a fair shake. We want to give them an opportunity. I think everybody should be able to do business. If you've got a good
Right.
idea, if you've got a good product, I think you should be able to go out there and kill it the best way you know how to. That's what
Okay.
we want.
Right. Right. That's very interesting. I never really, like, and again, like I said, some of us have had troubles in our past for whatever reason, but I never knew that it was that difficult. For some, when you have certain things that raise, I guess, a red flag for those. Um, it's just interesting that, you know, has there been with a story like that in your experience? Have you been able to, work with someone, and find them or see them find success on the other side, with you and your service? And because I'm just curious, I want people to know that there is success. And if you could share maybe a tidbit of that story, or a story of how it started out kind of rocky and shaky, and how you found success on the other end, because people need to hear that, and they really need to see that.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean,
Yep.
I don't
Mhm.
like to broadcast my partner's personal info too much, but this particular lady, she had had some unfortunate circumstances surrounding a divorce and some other things that just hurt
Mm.
her financially.
Mhm.
Um, and she had this idea to get in, and she wanted to start a boutique. She wanted to do clothing sales and some custom consignment or custom design options rather. And like I said, she had gone through for about a month or two and couldn't find anybody, and happened to reach out to me. And I'm not gonna lie, for stuff like that, it takes a little more paperwork because what the
Right.
guys on my back end want to do is they want to sit here and go through bank account statements that are recent, stuff like that, and certain assurances. But we got her all set up, and the last time I checked in on her revenue, she's doing somewhere close to about $10,000 a month, which for a company that started from two bankruptcies, she's very happy with. So.
That's an awesome story, and that's what it's all about, man. I really believe, sometimes people hear things like, "Oh yeah, but it can't be me, or that won't be me." But sometimes hearing the positive stories, knowing that there is a possibility, a true and real possibility, and now to hear this story, of her success, man, kudos to her, kudos to you guys for really, taking time to invest, your services and time into her to help make it a success story. So that kudos to you. Um, Really quick, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take a short pause for the cause. I want to go ahead and thank our Two Mics Up advertising partners, for our business corner, because without them, we couldn't continue to bring great guests and conversations like today with Anthony Bryant. So make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be right back after this short pause for the cause. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are fresh back out the break. I'm here today, man. We're having an awesome conversation, with Anthony Bryant. He's the founder and CEO of Sovereign Payments. I don't know how, if you happen to get to this point in the show, you need to go back to the beginning. Make sure you get educated with all the information and gems that Anthony has been sharing with us. And we're going to continue this second half of the conversation because, Anthony, it's clear that, you and your, Sovereign Payments, you really have a broad market, if you will. But if we were to really narrow it down and from your inception, like was there an initial, target market that you had intended to serve, or was it something that you looked to just jump right out and serve all the markets, if you will, when you started?
So actually, I love that question. Of course, the nature of my business is we can serve anybody who wants to take a payment. We do
Right.
e-commerce, we do in person, but part of the passion project, for lack of a better term, for me was really kind of getting out there and again helping people who were, either not being given a fair shake, or helping people who didn't exactly know how to kind of strike out and get involved in this industry or
Hmm.
in any industry. Um, Now we mostly, we prefer to work with small and medium sized businesses or anybody. Like I love working with entrepreneurs. If I can meet the owner and shake his hand, that's my bread and butter. Now,
Yeah.
if Walmart came at me tomorrow and Walmart said, "Hey, we want you to take over," I'm not going to tell them no.
You're right.
That's not who we're going after.
Right. So I like that. So entrepreneurs, if you're listening, business owners, small business owners, Anthony is your guy. It sounds like he does take great care, and he's very professional in dealing with you. So just take note and take listen. Now, with that though, this is my favorite question, because I believe as business owners, entrepreneurs, and whatever we're doing with our baby, um, it's our thing. But to stand out, you have to be unique, I believe, or you have to have something that you're offering that's unique. So, Anthony, what makes sovereign payments unique, to someone like myself, or to someone who may be watching or listening to this conversation?
So I'm glad you asked, because that's one thing in today's market with payment processing that I see a lot of companies struggling with. Because let's be real, we're all offering credit card payments, so why should I work with me? Um, so I kind of touched on, we serve high risk industries, we serve high risk individuals that tend to have issues with, I've heard horror stories of accounts getting shut down, funds being held because there was miscommunication on the paperwork.
Oh,
But even more than that, we offer our partners options. So I
okay.
mentioned, we work with over 40 different point of sale options. We do e-commerce, we do invoicing, we do billing, we do recurring payments, uh, and then we also do. We kind of let our partners decide what's best for them. So we do a couple of payment structures. So we can either do a wholesale cost based system, which is generally about half as expensive as big guys like Square, Toast, or anybody else who's doing that flat rate, like
Yeah. Right.
2.6 change. We also do compliant dual pricing, which is essentially where you eliminate all your credit card processing, you bake it into the cost of goods or the cost of services, and it's taken out per transaction so that you never have to, at the end of the month, go out and pay this chunk of change. It's just done automatically.
Right.
And then, I've worked alongside of, and I've seen a lot of agents for other companies who they're out here to sell a piece of equipment at a high dollar value, and that's where they make their money, or they want to get a commission for a quick sale.
Hmm.
Our philosophy and what sets us apart a bit is, to me, when I'm working with somebody, like, I don't care if I'm working with you and I'm making 50 cents a month off your company. To me, my philosophy is that we have a long-term partnership. I want to see you
Right.
grow. It helps me grow. We can kind of work with each other. And to that end, we actually try to partner up with other small businesses who offer, whether it's bookkeeping, accounting, tax prep services, and stuff like that. I don't get anything out of it, but I try to kind of create an all-in-one package where somebody, I've had merchants come up to me and say, "Hey, man, I want to do X, Y, and Z, or do you guys do website development, or do you do bookkeeping?" I'm like, "No,
Right.
but friend over here does." So I want to have kind of as much as possible, all of those solutions kind of for you, even if it's not my bag.
No, and that's great, because I mean that is, I go to my BNI hat. That's that giver's gain philosophy, where just by creating a mutual network and being a giver, you know I believe in it as well. Now, and this is just honest to goodness truth, now that I had the privilege and pleasure of talking to someone like you in the payment service industry, to be able to share this with our audience and with others. But now it's like you gain a salesperson. I could be out at an event somewhere, somebody's talking about, oh, my business this, and I'm really looking for credit card services and all in one. Oh, I got somebody for you. And again, it's not my bag, But again, it's something now that I've gotten to know. I have a better understanding of something I can kind of speak to now. Now I can go ahead and present that to someone and just tell them, hey, tell them Damon from Two Mics Up sent you. And once that happens, all it is really for you and I to, hey, look, I sent you somebody, take care of them for me, and if you have any issues, just call me back. Yeah, and that's really what you do, and that's what networking is all about. And that's really, honestly, what our platform is all about, trying to make that connection with someone like yourself who has a business that provides a good and a service to the community, and we all win. So that was a great analogy, and thanks for sharing that, Anthony. And we are kind of coming towards the back end of the conversation, because I know you have a lot of other businesses and things that you are involved with. And for those who don't know, you'll probably see Anthony again, because what he's doing in his other enterprise is just as interesting, if not more. But I do want to ask you before we go, Anthony, one, just give our audience a tease on what your other enterprise is, and if there's anything that I didn't ask or go over, or information that you want to share, please take a few moments to go ahead and share that as well about sovereign payments.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to. So I'll hit on two big things. So number one, and this is kind of in the spirit of just giving back to the community and working with other small business owners, entrepreneurs, and all that. We do a service. I personally do a service where I do a free, no obligation consultation for your current processing. So you never have to do a bit of business with me a day in your life. You can
Wow.
hit me up and say, hey, man, does this look fair? Are there fluff fees? Is there filler in here I don't need to be paying? I'll say yes, no, give you some ideas. And, hey, you can take that to Square, Spot on, Toast, whoever you want to work with if you want to. On top of that, I'm glad you mentioned the other business. So a partner of mine has a company called iHero, and I did want to talk a little bit about that because what it is it gives entrepreneurs and small businesses a landing page. It's a LinkedIn profile, kind of like Linktree, but we give away all their premium features for free. And then we have some monetization options that I'll be going into when we talk again. But for the first quarter of 2024, one thing I'm doing with my business partner is anybody who signs up with Sovereign Payments, we're going to give them that platform, the premium feature for free. We're going to do all the design work for them. You don't have to do a bit of the work. If you hit me up and say, hey, man, I don't like the way this looks, I'll redo it for you. Again, it's all my own time. It's not going to cost you a dime. So we're kind of looking to, like I mentioned earlier, we're trying to find partnerships with other businesses where it's mutually beneficial and we can give more back to the entrepreneurs out there in the community.
Ooh, man, look, we're gonna make sure we cut this. We're gonna cut that piece right there, the promo, because that right there is huge. For anyone watching or listening, this is a great opportunity, not only for you, but it's a great opportunity for partnership. To really help not only your business grow, but to work with sovereign payments. That piece is huge, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure, we're going to go ahead and get Anthony's information. We're going to make sure we put that in the show notes. Make sure you go out and you reach out, as soon as you can, and go ahead and partner up with Anthony and Sovereign Payments. And speaking about social media information, Anthony, please take a moment to share your social media information. Like I said, we'll make sure we put that in the show notes, so we can go ahead and share that with our audience.
So there are a couple places you can follow what we do. If you're just looking for a straight up objective, kind of bird's eye view on the payment processing industry, we have an Instagram account just called Your Payment Guy. We're not going to be sitting here pushing products, pushing sales. It's going to kind of just give you an idea of where the processing world is, fair rates, how you can sit here and evaluate your stuff and all that. And then we have Sovereign Payments on Facebook. That's going to be a little bit more oriented towards our personal business, of course. And finally, if you go to, and you can get a feel for what the platform kind of looks like, ihero.app/Anthony. It's going to have my info for Sovereign Payments. It's going to have ways to contact me personally. So there will be 3 little buttons. You'll have email, call, and text. Those call and text buttons will go straight to my personal cell phone. The email goes to my business email. I'm not going to lie, I work a lot better off call and text, but I do check those emails as often as I have the time to do so. So you can hit us up there.
I love it. So, like I said, Anthony, thank you, man. We will make sure we put all of that information in the show notes. we will share that information with our audience. I really appreciate you, taking out the time to educate me and educate us and share your knowledge on the work that you're doing with Sovereign Payments. Continued success to you and your team on that venture. Like I said, we will be reaching out to have Anthony come back, and we're going to talk about his other venture. This man stays busy, y'all, but he's really bringing some great things, to our community. So thank you again, Anthony, and I appreciate you, my friend.
No, thank you guys for having me. This has been fantastic. So I appreciate it.
Our honor and pleasure. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another Two Mics Up Business Corner. You can catch it Two Mics Up Business Corners every Friday, 1 p.m. here on our YouTube channel. We'll be airing it on LinkedIn and X as well. Make sure you tune in, for our continued weekly services. We're going to be sitting down with a trailblazer next week, Miss Hyacinth Tucker. Make sure you tune in for that conversation. I am your humble host, Damon Cunningham. You can follow me on social media, IG, Facebook, and Twitter at DameDNYDC if you like. Make sure you go ahead and you follow Two Mics Up. Don't miss it. We're on social media, IG, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Two Mics Up. Monday nights, season 6. We're on the Mogul Global TV Network, the #1 network for positive programming. We've reached 1,000 subscribers. We're in 32 countries now. And here in the DMV, we're just under 60,000 streams a month. So make sure you check us out on the Mogul Global TV Network. And I'm just going to leave you with a few things like we do at the end of every Two Mics Up segment. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mics out. 007.